Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and today we've got a story that's going to stick with you long after you finish watching. Meet Vince. He's 65 years old, from Portland, Oregon. Spent nearly 4 decades as a city bus driver, the kind of guy who showed up on time every single day, did his job, went home. After beating cancer and getting a second chance at life, he decided it was time to finally start living instead of just existing. So he came to Thailand looking for something real: companionship, purpose, maybe even love. What he found was all of that, or at least that's what he thought. See, Vince did something most guys don't think to do. He started learning Thai, not just hello and thank you, but really learning it. He wanted to surprise his girlfriend, to show her he was serious, that he was different from all the other foreign men passing through. He spent months studying in secret, getting better and better, imagining the look on her face when he finally revealed he could understand her. He got that reveal all right, just not the way he expected. Because sometimes the worst thing you can do is understand exactly what people are saying when they don't know you're listening. And what Vince heard that day in words he worked so hard to learn changed everything. This one's a tough listen, folks. It's about loneliness, about hope, about what happens when you want something so badly that you miss what's right in front of you. But it's also about the kind of lesson that only comes from living through the worst and coming out the other side. Here's Vince's story, in his own words. My name's Vince, and I drove buses in Portland for 37 years. The 15 to Gateway Transit Center, the 72 to Killingsworth and 82nd. I knew every stop, every pothole, every place where the road got rough. I could tell you which passengers would be waiting at which corners on which days. I watched that city change around me, new buildings going up, old neighborhoods getting fancier, rent prices climbing so high that even the folks who'd been there forever couldn't afford to stay. My life didn't change much, though. Same routes, same apartment in outer southeast, same routine. I got divorced about 20 years back. Nothing dramatic, just one of those things where you wake up one day and realize you've been living like roommates for 5 years already. She moved to Eugene. I stayed in Portland. We didn't have kids, which made it cleaner, I guess, but also meant there wasn't any reason to stay in touch after the lawyers finished dividing everything up. I dated here and there after that, nothing serious. A few women from the meetup hiking groups, a teacher I met at a Blazers game, a nurse from the VA who I saw for maybe 3 months. It never went anywhere. I don't know if it was me or them or just bad timing, but at some point I stopped trying. Stopped even thinking about it much. Work, home, beers with the guys from the depot on Fridays, Blazers games when I could afford tickets. That was my life. I'm not complaining. It was fine. Comfortable, you know? I had my pension building up, some money in savings, decent health insurance through the union. I wasn't unhappy. I just wasn't anything. Then I turned 63 and everything changed. I started having trouble peeing, waking up 3-4 times a night. Figured it was just getting older, right? But my buddy at the depot, he'd had prostate cancer a few years back, and he told me to get it checked. So I went to my doctor, did the blood test, the whole deal. PSA came back high. They did a biopsy. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in that office, and the doctor's telling me I've got cancer. I don't remember much of what he said after that. Something about Gleason scores and treatment options. All I could think was, this is it. This is how it ends. Alone in a doctor's office in Portland, Oregon, at 63 years old, never having done anything worth remembering. They caught it early enough that surgery was an option. I took 6 weeks off work, first time I'd taken more than a few days, in probably a decade, and had the operation. Then the waiting for the pathology results, waiting to see if they got it all, waiting to find out if I was going to die or keep driving buses until I was too old to hold the wheel steady. The results came back clean. They got it all. No radiation needed, just monitoring. I should have been relieved. I was relieved. But I also felt this weird kind of anger, or maybe it was panic. Because my doctor, this guy Dr. Patel, who'd been straight with me through the whole thing, he sat back in his chair and said something I still hear in my head. He said, "Vince, you got lucky this time. You're cancer-free. But you need to start actually living, not just waiting around to die." I don't think he meant it as harsh as it sounded, but it hit me like a punch to the chest, because he was right. I'd spent 20 years in neutral, just existing, going through the motions. And for what? I had my pension, about 65 grand in savings, decent health for a guy my age, no wife, no kids, no real ties to Portland except the job I'd already given 37 years to. What the hell was I waiting for? That's when Gary started showing me the photos. Gary had retired from the depot about a year before my diagnosis. He'd driven the same routes I did, maybe 5 years older than me, similar life story, divorced, no kids, just work and more work. But Gary had done something different. He'd gone to Thailand, met a woman there, married her, brought her back to the States now. They lived in a little house in Gresham, and Gary spent his days looking about 10 years younger and 20 times happier than he'd ever looked driving buses. He'd come by the depot sometimes to visit, and he'd pull out his phone and show us photos. Beaches with water so blue it didn't look real. Street food for a couple bucks. His wife, who was maybe 40, nice looking, always smiling in the pictures. Their house in Thailand because they had a place there too, he said, for when they visited her family. Everything looked clean and bright and easy. Thai women appreciate a good man, Gary told me one afternoon over coffee at the Starbucks across from the depot. Not like here where everyone's swiping left and right looking for something perfect that doesn't exist. Over there, if you're decent, if you treat them right, they'll treat you like a king, and you can live on half what it costs here, maybe less. I told him I was happy for him, which I was, but I also felt this pull, Like maybe there was something out there for me too. I started watching YouTube videos, expat channels, guys talking about retiring in Thailand, teaching English, starting businesses. Most of them were younger than me, but some weren't. Some were guys my age or older who just said screw it and bought a one-way ticket. I told myself I was just curious, just looking into it. But I knew. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to go. I'd survived cancer. The doctor said start living. So 3 months later, I booked a flight to Chiang Mai. 3 months after I started watching those videos, I was on a plane to Chiang Mai. I'd done my research. Bangkok looked too big, too chaotic, too much like everything I'd read about in those cautionary tales, Sukhumvit bars, Nana Plaza, all that. Pattaya was worse. But Chiang Mai seemed different. Temples and mountains, coffee shops and expat breakfast clubs, a place where you could actually live, not just party yourself to death. I booked an Airbnb near Niman Hayman Road for 2 months. Told myself it was exploratory, a long vacation. I'd see how it felt, and if it didn't work out, I'd come home and no harm done. But I knew when I was packing my bags that I wasn't planning on coming back. You don't sell everything you own for a vacation. The flight was long. Portland to Seoul, Seoul to Bangkok, Bangkok to Chiang Mai. By the time I landed, it was late afternoon, and the heat hit me the second I stepped out of the airport. Not just warm, thick, heavy, like breathing through a wet towel. My shirt was stuck to my back before I even got to the taxi line. The drive to my Airbnb was sensory overload. Motorbikes everywhere, weaving between cars, whole families on single bikes. Dad driving, mom on the back, 2 kids squeezed in between. No helmets. Street vendors grilling meat on the sidewalk, smoke rising into the humid air. Red trucks, song they use. I'd learned they were called, packed with people standing in the back. Everything louder and brighter and more chaotic than anything in Portland. My Airbnb was a small studio on the 3rd floor of a newish building. Clean. Air conditioning that worked. A little balcony that looked out over the street. The owner, a Thai woman maybe in her 50s, showed me how everything worked, told me about the 7-Eleven down the street, pointed out a few restaurants on a map. She was nice enough. I thanked her and closed the door and sat on the bed and just breathed for a minute. I was here. I'd actually done it. That first week was harder than I expected. The heat never let up, even at night. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. sweating, the air conditioner struggling to keep up. Everything was in Thai signs, menus, conversations happening around me that I couldn't understand. I felt like a child, pointing at pictures on menus, smiling and nodding when people spoke to me in Thai like an idiot. I did the tourist things. Doi Suthep Temple beautiful, but so many stairs I thought my heart might give out. A cooking class where I learned to make pad Thai and green curry. An elephant sanctuary outside the city where you could feed them and bathe them. The elephants were gentle. I liked that. But mostly I just walked. Walked through the old city, around the moat, down to the night bazaar. Watched the other foreigners. There were a lot of us. Older white guys mostly, with Thai women on their arms. Some of the women were clearly working dressed up, heels, makeup, the whole deal. But others looked normal. Casual, like actual couples. I'd see them at cafes, holding hands, laughing. The guys looked happy, relaxed, like they'd figured something out that I hadn't. I wondered if I was fooling myself. If at 65 I was too old to think anyone would want me for anything other than my wallet. Second Saturday there, I went to the Saturday night market. It runs down the whole length of the old city. Vendors on both sides of the street, selling everything: clothes, paintings, wood carvings, street food. The smell was incredible. Grilled pork, pad Thai frying in big woks, sweet coconut desserts. Music playing from speakers. Crowds of people moving slow, looking at stuff. I stopped at a jewelry stall, silver necklaces and bracelets, handmade, laid out on a black cloth. They were pretty, delicate. The kind of thing I might have bought for my ex-wife back when we still cared. The woman running the stall was arranging a display when I stopped. She looked up and smiled. Not the aggressive vendor smile trying to get you to buy something, just a regular friendly smile. "Hello," she said. "You like silver?" "Yeah," I said. "These are nice. You make these?" "Yes, I make all." She held up a necklace, a simple pendant with an intricate pattern. "This one very popular, good quality. I'm not good at talking to women, never have been, But something about her made it easier. She wasn't trying to sell me anything, not really, just showing me her work. She was maybe late 30s, dressed in jeans and a plain t-shirt, hair pulled back, pretty in a natural way. No makeup that I could see. "How much?" I asked, pointing at the necklace. 800 baht. I did the math in my head. "About $22. I nodded. "I'll take it." She wrapped it carefully in tissue paper, put it in a small cloth bag. When I handed her a 1,000 baht note, she made change and then gestured to a small folding chair next to her stall. "You want sit, have tea?" I should have said no, should have taken my necklace and moved on, but I didn't. I sat down. She poured me Thai iced tea from a thermos, sweet and cold. We talked for maybe an hour. Her name was Ploy. She'd been doing the jewelry for 3 years. Before that, she'd worked in a hotel, but the money wasn't good and the hours were bad. Her English was decent. Not perfect, but way better than my Thai, which was non-existent. She asked where I was from, what brought me to Chiang Mai. I told her Portland, told her I'd retired, wanted to see something different. She nodded like that made sense. Told me she liked Americans. They were friendly, not like some Europeans who were rude. She mentioned her daughter, 8 years old, smart, good at school. I asked about the father, and her face changed a little, got sad. Motorcycle accident 3 years ago. She said it like it was a fact, not looking for sympathy. Just something that happened. When I finally stood up to leave, she wrote her line ID on a scrap of paper and handed it to me. "You have line?" she asked. I didn't, but I told her I'd download it. "Good. You have question about Chiang Mai, you message me, okay?" I thanked her for the tea and walked away, the necklace in my pocket, her line ID in my hand. Looking back now, I can see how calculated it all was. The friendly smile, the offer of tea, the sad story about her husband, the line ID. Every step designed to make me feel special, to make me feel like this was different from what happened to other guys. But right then, walking through that night market with the sound of people talking and laughing and the smell of street food in the air, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. I downloaded Line that night, added her contact, sent a message the next day saying thanks for the tea. She responded right away. Over the next week, we messaged back and forth, nothing heavy. She'd send me recommendations for restaurants, tell me about good coffee shops in Niman. I'd asked her questions about Thai culture, about Chiang Mai. She was patient with my ignorance, never made me feel stupid. 10 days after we met, she suggested we get coffee. There was a place she likes near the university. I said yes immediately, too immediately probably. I showed up 15 minutes early and sat there feeling like a teenager on a first date. She arrived right on time. We ordered coffee, I got a nice latte, she got something with condensed milk, and we talked for 2 hours. About her daughter, about her jewelry business, about her life. She asked about Portland, about my job driving buses, about why I'd left. I told her about the cancer, about the doctor's words, about feeling like I'd wasted my life. She reached across the table and touched my hand. "Just briefly. Not waste," she said. "You here now? That's good." We met 3 more times that week. Coffee, a walk around the moat, dinner at a small Thai restaurant where she ordered for both of us because I couldn't read the menu. The food was incredible, spicy as hell, but good. She laughed when I couldn't handle the sumtam and had to order more water. She never asked me for anything, never suggested I pay for anything beyond my own meal. When I insisted on paying for dinner, she resisted, then agreed with a small smile. After dinner, we walked back toward her neighborhood. She lived in a modest townhouse on the east side of the city. When we got to her street, she stopped and turned to me. "Next week, you come meet my mother. She make northern Thai food. Very good." I said yes before I even thought about it. That dinner sitting on the floor around a low table in her mother's living room, eating khao soi and sayua, while her daughter watched us shyly from the doorway. That was when I knew I was staying. This wasn't like Portland. This wasn't empty. This was something real. Or at least, that's what I told myself. I extended my Airbnb another month, then another. By the end of February, I'd decided not to go back at all. Ploy and I dated for 6 more weeks before anything physical happened. She told me she wanted to take things slow. Because of her daughter, she said. She didn't want to confuse the girl or make her think every man who came around was going to be permanent. I respected that. More than that, I saw it as proof that she was different. A woman who actually cared about her kid, who wasn't just looking for a quick payday. When it finally did happen, it was at my Airbnb. Her daughter was staying overnight at her grandmother's place. Ploy came over for dinner. I'd ordered in from a restaurant she liked massaman curry, spring rolls, sticky rice with mango for dessert. We ate on my little balcony, watching the street below, the motorbikes streaming by in both directions, the lights from the shops and restaurants making everything glow orange and white. After dinner, we went inside. She kissed me first. Soft, tentative, like she wasn't sure if she should. I kissed her back, and we moved to the bed, and it felt real. It felt meaningful. Not transactional, not like something I was paying for. Like two people who actually wanted each other. Afterward, lying there in the dark with the air conditioner humming, she rested her head on my chest and said, "You good man, Vince. I lucky." I wanted to tell her I was the lucky one, but I couldn't get the words out. I just held her and felt for the first time in 20 years. Like maybe I wasn't going to die alone. By the end of March, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going back to Portland. There was nothing there for me. Just an empty apartment and a pension that would go further here than it ever would back home. I found a visa agent through one of the expat Facebook groups. Nice woman named Sam who spoke perfect English and knew how to navigate the immigration bureaucracy. For 15,000 baht, about 420, she handled everything. Got me a 1-year retirement visa, which I qualify for since I was over 50 and had enough money in the bank. The requirement was 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account, which was roughly 2,500. I transferred the money from my U.S. account, opened a Bangkok bank account, showed the statements to immigration, and that was it. Legal for a year. Some explained the 90-day reporting requirement. I'd have to check in with immigration every 3 months to confirm my address. Annoying, but manageable. She also helped me find a condo to rent long-term. 1 bedroom, decent building with a pool, about 10 minutes by motorbike from Ploy's townhouse. 8,000 baht a month, 225 to back in Portland. I'd been paying 1,400 for a place half as nice. I moved in mid-April. Ploy helped me set up the place. We bought sheets and towels at Big C, picked up a rice cooker and some dishes at a local market. She knew where to get everything cheap, knew how to negotiate with vendors in Thai while I stood there smiling like an idiot. She made that condo feel like home in a way my Portland apartment never had. My pension from the transit agency was about 2,200 a month, between rent, food, utilities, and the occasional meal out or trip to Doi Suthep or the hot springs. I was living on maybe 1,200 a month, less than I'd spent on rent alone back home. I was saving money, actually building my cushion back up after the visa expenses and moving costs. Life settled into a rhythm. Mornings I'd wake up, make coffee on my little balcony, watch the city wake up. Afternoons I'd meet Ploy at the market where she had her jewelry stall, sit with her while she worked, help her pack up at the end of the day. Evenings we'd have dinner sometimes at her place with her daughter and mother, sometimes just the two of us at a small restaurant near her house. Nights we'd watch Thai TV shows I couldn't understand but enjoyed anyway, just being next to her on the couch, her daughter curled up between us half asleep. It felt like a life. A real life. The first time Ploy asked me for money was early May, about a month after I'd moved into the condo. Her daughter needed new school uniforms and supplies. The school year was starting and she'd grown out of her old uniforms. The total was 15,000 baht, about 420 dalbar. Ploy seemed embarrassed to ask. She mentioned it almost casually, like she was thinking out loud, not expecting me to do anything about it. But what kind of man would I be if I didn't help? This was my girlfriend's kid. If we were building something real, of course I'd help with things like this. I transferred the money to her account that afternoon. She cried when I told her, hugged me tight and thanked me over and over. It felt good. It felt like being a man again, like being useful, like providing for someone who needed it. 2 weeks later, her motorcycle broke down. The engine needed work, some part that was expensive. She'd been using that bike to get to the market every day. Without it, she couldn't work. The repair was going to cost 30,000 baht, 840. Again, she seemed hesitant to mention it. Said she might be able to borrow money from a friend, but the interest would be high. Thai loan sharks, I knew from the expat forums, were brutal. If I could help her avoid that, why wouldn't I? I paid for the motorcycle repair. She was so grateful she cried again. Made me dinner that night, her mother's special recipe for khao swa, the northern Thai curry noodle soup. We ate together, her daughter chattering away in Thai while Ploy translated the important bits, and I felt like I was part of something, part of a family. Looking back now, I can see the pattern, the gradual escalation, the emotional gratitude that made me feel needed, the way each request was positioned as a crisis, something urgent, something temporary. But at the time, it all made sense. These were normal life expenses. If I was in a relationship back home, I'd be helping with this stuff too, right? By June, the requests had gotten bigger. Ploy's mother needed cataract surgery. She'd been having trouble seeing for months, but it had gotten worse. She couldn't cook safely anymore, couldn't watch Ploy's daughter properly. The surgery at a private hospital in Chiang Mai would cost 80,000 baht, 2,240. This one made me pause. Not because I didn't want to help, but because it was a lot of money. I sat on my balcony one evening, doing the math. I'd already given Ploy 260 over the past 2 months. Another 2,240 would put me at about 30,000 total. That was real money. More than a month's pension. But then I thought about Ploy's mother. That kind woman who'd welcomed me into her home, who cooked for me, who smiled and nodded even though we couldn't really talk to each other. She needed help, And I had the money. What was I saving it for? To die alone in Portland at 75 with a fat bank account. I transferred the money. Ploy took her mother to the hospital the next week. The surgery went well. Her mother's sight improved. She could see clearly again. Ploy sent me photos of her mother smiling in the hospital bed, giving a thumbs up. I felt good about it. Like I'd done something meaningful. I ran the numbers that night. Total money given to Ploy and her family over 4 months, roughly $3,500. But I was still spending less than half what I'd spent in Portland. My bank account was fine, not growing like it had been, but stable. And I was happy, happier than I'd been in years. That's what I told myself anyway. That this was normal. That this was what being in a relationship looked like when your partner and her family had less than you did. That helping the people you cared about was what good men did. I didn't see it yet. Didn't see how each request was testing me, training me, normalizing the idea that my role in this relationship was to solve problems with money. Didn't see that the gratitude and tears and affection that followed each payment weren't love. They were positive reinforcement. All I saw was Ploy smiling at me across the dinner table, her daughter calling me Uncle Vince, her mother's grateful eyes. A life that felt full instead of empty. I thought I was building something. I didn't realize I was just opening my wallet wider and wider, one reasonable request at a time. July rolled around and I'd been in Chiang Mai for 6 months. The rainy season had started, afternoon downpours that would flood the streets for an hour before draining away, leaving everything smelling like wet concrete and vegetation. I'd gotten used to the rhythm of it. Mornings clear and hot, afternoons stormy, evenings cool enough to sit outside without sweating through your shirt. Ploy and I had settled into something that felt permanent. I had a drawer at her place. She kept a toothbrush at mine. Her daughter had stopped being shy around me, would tell me about school, show me her homework even though I couldn't read the Thai. I felt like part of their lives. That's when her cousin showed up with the opportunity. His name was Somchai, mid-40s, friendly guy, spoke pretty good English. He worked in real estate or property management or something like that. Ploy had mentioned him before, but I'd never met him. He came over to her townhouse one evening while I was there, and over Leo beers and sumtam he laid out the proposition. There was a coffee shop near Chiang Mai University. Good location, right on a busy street, lots of foot traffic from students and office workers. The current owner wanted out family reasons, moving to Bangkok. The lease was transferable. The place needed some work, some updates, new equipment, fresh paint, but the bones were good. Steady customers. Real potential. Total cost to take over the lease and do the renovations, 400,000 baht, about 11,200. Somchai showed us photos on his phone. It was a decent-looking place, not fancy, but clean. Good-sized space, tables by the windows. You could see students studying there in the photos, people on laptops. Ploy could run it, Somchai said. She very smart, very hard worker, made good money, more than jewelry stall, stable income for daughter. Ploy was quiet while he talked, didn't push it, just listened. After Somchai left, I asked her what she thought. She shrugged. Is good opportunity, but I don't have money for this, maybe someday. I sat with it for a few days, did the math. I had about 50,000 left in my savings after the visa expenses and the money I'd given her over the past few months. My pension was covering my monthly expenses. The 11,200 would be a big chunk, but it wasn't going to break me. And here's what I told myself. This wasn't just giving her money. This was investing, building something. If Ploy had her own business, steady income, she wouldn't need to ask me for help anymore. We'd be partners, equals. Plus, if we got married down the line and I was starting to think seriously about that, the coffee shop would benefit both of us. I'd lived frugally my whole life, saved every extra dollar, never took risks. And where had it gotten me? 65 years old, alone, driving buses until I got cancer. What was the point of having money if not to build something meaningful with someone you cared about? I told Ploy I wanted to do it. She cried. Actually cried. Told me I was too good to her, that she didn't deserve it, that she'd make it work, that she'd make me proud. We went to the bank together the next day. I wired 400,000 baht 11,200 to Somchai's account for the lease transfer and renovations. For a few days after that, Ploy was more affectionate than she'd ever been. Cooked for me every night. Stayed over at my place. Talked about the future. Maybe after the coffee shop was established and profitable, we could think about marriage. Maybe we could get a house. Well, she'd have to own it legally since foreigners can't own land in Thailand, but it would be ours. A place for all of us. Her daughter could have her own room. We could have a garden. I felt like I was finally building the life I should have built 30 years ago. The problems started small. Subtle enough that I didn't recognize them as problems. Ploy started being less available. Evenings when we used to have dinner together, she'd text me that she was at the coffee shop site, dealing with contractors, working out details with the renovations. Totally reasonable. Starting a business takes time and energy. I got that. But when I offered to come help, to see the progress, maybe meet the contractors, she'd deflect. Is not ready yet, very messy, I want to surprise you, when is perfect. Or, the contractor, he don't speak English, will be confusing for you. Or, next week, okay? This week, too busy. Her phone was constantly buzzing with line messages. She'd angle it away from me when she checked them. When I asked who was messaging so much, she'd say it was some chai, or the contractor, or suppliers about equipment. Always reasonable explanations. 2 weeks after I'd wired the money, we were lying in bed at my place. It was late, both of us half asleep, and I mentioned something that had been on my mind. You know, when the lease paperwork is done, we should probably put it in both our names, for legal protection. I felt her go rigid next to me. The temperature in the room changed. She sat up. What you mean? Just for protection, I said. I mean, I put up the money, so if something happened, you don't trust me. Her voice had an edge I hadn't heard before. No, it's not that. I'm just thinking about. After everything I share with you, after I let you meet my daughter, my mother, you think I'm like those other Thai girls? You think I take your money and run? Ploy, come on, that's not what I meant. But she was crying now. Real tears running down her face. You same like other Farang. You think every Thai girl is bad. You think we all lie, all cheat. I thought you different, Vince. I thought you good man who trust me. I felt like shit, like I'd insulted her, accused her of something terrible. I'm sorry, I said. I wasn't trying to. I trust you, I do. I'm sorry. She let me hold her, but she was stiff in my arms. Eventually she relaxed, stopped crying, told me it was okay, that she understood I was just being careful, but that it hurt to think I didn't trust her after everything. I apologized again. Told her of course I trusted her. Told her the lease should be in her name. It was her business, her dream. I was just helping make it happen. She kissed me then, soft and grateful, and I felt relieved that we were okay again. Looking back now, I can see it so clearly. The emotional manipulation. The way she made me feel guilty for having a reasonable concern. The tears deployed at exactly the right moment. The way she turned my caution into proof that I was just like every other suspicious Farang. That I thought all Thai women were scammers. But in that moment, lying there with her head on my chest, I just felt grateful that she'd forgiven me for doubting her. August came. The rainy season was in full swing. Ploy was increasingly unavailable. Some evenings I wouldn't see her at all. She'd text that she was exhausted from the day at the coffee shop site, that she needed to sleep at her place with her daughter. When we were together, she seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly. Tired. Stressed. The renovations, they taking longer than I think, she explained. The contractor, he find problem with the plumbing. Extra cost. And the equipment, some things need replaced, not just fixed. She needed another 50,000 baht, about 1,400. For equipment, I gave it to her. Of course I did. Businesses always cost more than you expect. That's normal. Then the tutor for her daughter. The girl needed help with English if she was going to get into a good high school. 15,000 baht a month, 420. I set up a monthly transfer. Then supplies, inventory time, paint that needed to be redone, 30,000 baht here to 5,000 baht there. Each request came with detailed explanations. Photos of receipts sometimes. Ploy looking stressed and apologetic. By mid-August, I'd put in another $8,000 on top of the original 11,200. I was about 20,000 deep total. But I told myself this was normal. This was what building something looked like. Businesses take investment. There are always unexpected costs, and once the coffee shop was open and profitable, we'd be fine. Better than fine. I still hadn't seen the place. Every time I suggested visiting, Ploy had a reason why not. Soon, she'd say, I promise. When is perfect. What I didn't want to admit, what I couldn't admit, was that a small voice in the back of my head was asking questions I didn't want to answer. Why hadn't I seen a lease agreement? Why couldn't I just drive by the location? Why was she so unavailable? Why did her phone buzz at midnight with line messages she wouldn't let me see? But I pushed those questions down, because admitting them meant admitting I might have made a mistake. A big one. And I wasn't ready to admit that. Not yet. Late August, I made a decision that seemed romantic at the time. Now it feels like the universe's cruelest joke. I was going to learn Thai. Not just Sawati crap and Kop Kun crap, really learn it. Enough to have conversations, to understand what people around me were saying, to show Ploy I was serious about building a life here. I've been thinking about it for weeks. Every time we were with her family and they'd slip into Thai, I'd sit there smiling and nodding like an idiot, understanding nothing. Every time we watched Thai TV together and something funny happened, I'd laugh when Ploy laughed, not because I got the joke, but because I wanted to be part of it. One was tired of feeling like an outsider in my own life. Plus, I had this idea, this romantic notion. I'd learn Thai in secret, get good enough to propose to her in her own language, show her I wasn't just another Farang passing through, show her I was committed to understanding her world. I downloaded an app called Ling, started with the basics, alphabet, tones, simple phrases. Thai is a tonal language, which means the same word can mean 5 different things depending on how you say it. It's hard, but I'd always been decent with languages. Picked up enough Spanish over the years working with Latino drivers at the depot to get by. And I had time, hours, every day alone in my condo with nothing but time. I started watching Thai dramas with English subtitles. Lakorn they're called. Melodramatic as hell, but good for picking up conversational Thai. I'd pause and replay scenes, mimicking the pronunciation, writing down phrases in a notebook. I kept it secret, never let on when I started catching words here and there. When Ploy's mother would say something in Thai and Ploy would translate, I'd act like one hadn't understood any of it, even when I'd caught the gist. I wanted it to be a surprise, wanted to see her face when I finally revealed I'd been learning. Looking back now, the irony is almost funny. Almost. Because while I was working so hard to understand what Ploy was saying, I was completely blind to what she was actually doing. The money requests kept coming. Always reasonable, always explained. Early September, she told me the coffee shop needed new equipment. The espresso machine the previous owner had left was broken beyond repair. A new one would cost 50,000 baht, about 4,000. She showed me photos of commercial espresso machines on her phone, pointed to the one Sumchai recommended. I transferred the money. A week later, her daughter's school called. The girl was struggling with English. If she wanted to get into a good high school, she needed a tutor 5,000 baht a month. 420. I set up a monthly automatic transfer. Then inventory for the coffee shop. Coffee beans, milk, cups, napkins, all the supplies they'd need when they opened. 30,000 baht here, 5,000 baht there. Each time Ploy would show me receipts or photos of supplies. Each time she'd be effusively grateful, almost embarrassed to ask. By mid-September, I'd put in another $8,000 on top of everything else. Total investment, about 20,000. That was real money. Almost a third of what I'd had when I arrived. But I told myself businesses always cost more than you expect. My buddy Gary from the depot, his wife's family, had a restaurant in Isan. He told me they'd blown through way more than they planned before it started making money. This was normal. Besides, my pension was still covering my living expenses. I wasn't going broke, just investing in our future. I still hadn't seen the coffee shop. Every time I suggested it, Ploy had a reason. Next week, darling. This week too messy. The contractor, he said, don't come yet, not safe with construction. Soon, I promise. When is perfect. And I believed her. Because what was the alternative? That I'd given 20,000 to someone who was lying to me? That the woman I was falling in love with was running a scam? That couldn't be it. I'd met her family. I'd watched her daughter do homework. This was real. Or that's what I told myself every night. Lying alone in my condo while Ploy texted me that she was too exhausted to come over. That she needed to stay with her daughter. That the coffee shop was taking all her energy. My Thai was improving faster than I expected. By early September, I could understand simple conversations, could read basic signs, could catch the gist of things said around me. I'd be at a restaurant and understand the waitress asking her coworker about break schedules. I'd be walking through the market and understand vendors talking about prices with each other before they quoted me the faring price. I was proud of myself, kept imagining the moment I'd reveal it to Ploy, maybe during a family dinner. I'd respond to her mother in Thai, and everyone would be shocked and delighted. Ploy would realize I was serious, different from the other foreign men, actually committed. I practiced proposing in my head. Chan Ra Kun, I love you. Kun Ja Tayang Gan Gap Chiang Mai, will you marry me? I'd say it at sunset, maybe up the Doi Suthep temple. She'd cry happy tears, say yes. We'd start planning our future for real. God, I was naive. Ploy was increasingly absent. Some days I wouldn't see her at all. She'd text me in the morning, busy today, so sorry. And that would be it, until late evening when she'd send a tired selfie from her townhouse, claiming she was exhausted from dealing with contractors and suppliers. When we were together, she seemed distracted, distant. Her phone would buzz constantly with line messages. She'd glance at the screen, angle it away from me, type quick responses. When I asked who was messaging, she'd say Sumchai, or the contractor, or a supplier. Always reasonable explanations. Once, when her phone buzzed during dinner at my place, she went to the bathroom to answer it. I heard her voice through the door, speaking rapid Thai, but couldn't make out the words. When she came back, I asked if everything was okay. Just problem with the contractor, she said. He want more money. Thai people, they always want more money. I laughed. Didn't see the irony. By late September, my Thai comprehension had reached a point where I could understand maybe 60–70% of the basic conversation. Not enough to follow rapid-fire dialogue or complex topics, but enough to get the gist. I listened to Thai people talking around me at restaurants, in the market, at the pool in my condo building, and understand most of what they were saying. I felt accomplished. Felt like I was actually integrating. Like I belonged here. I had no idea I was about to understand something I wish I hadn't. The universe has a funny way of giving you exactly what you ask for. I wanted to understand Thai so I could be closer to Ploy, so I could know what she was really thinking, so I could prove I was serious about our future together. I got my wish, just not the way I imagined. Late September. The rainy season was starting to ease up, more sun, fewer afternoon storms. I'd been in Chiang Mai for 9 months. That afternoon I finished lunch early at a little restaurant near my condo. Khao man gai, chicken rice, simple, cheap, good. I was walking back when I passed a street vendor selling Ko Niao Mam Wang sticky rice with mango, Ploy's favorite. I'd barely seen her in the past week. She'd been texting that she was overwhelmed with the coffee shop, exhausted, needed to focus. I bought 2 containers, thought I'd surprise her. Show up at her townhouse, we could eat dessert together, maybe she'd relax enough to actually talk to me about what was going on. I still had the key she'd given me months ago. Let myself in quietly, wanting to surprise her in a good way. The house was quiet, except for voices from the kitchen. Ploy on the phone, speaking Thai. I walked toward the kitchen, the plastic bag with the mango rice in my hand. She had her back to me, phone pressed to her ear, talking fast, animated. I stopped in the doorway, and I understood, not every word. My Thai wasn't that good, but enough, more than enough. Farang, he, chansong, pan hasip nueng atit delay. The foreigner gave me 30,000 last week, Nui Mayak, he's easy. Mai mi ran cafe, Leo. Ba aru. Of course there's no coffee shop. Are you stupid? Ja tham hai top hai ik song Sam Duane. I'll keep him going another 2-3 months. Ti jama kyo ne lang fo chao nan paila yo. Tea is coming tonight after the old man leaves. Man ma yu arai. Chantangan len ban ban. He doesn't suspect anything. He just wants to play house. I stood there. The plastic bag slipped from my hand, hit the tile floor. The sound made her spin around. She was still holding the phone to her ear. For maybe 2 seconds we just looked at each other. I saw her face cycle through emotions, surprise, then irritation, like I'd interrupted something, then calculation. She ended the call. Put on a smile. Switched to English. Vince, what you doing here? I couldn't move, couldn't speak. All those months learning Thai, all those hours with the app, with the TV shows, practicing pronunciation, I'd wanted to surprise her. To show her I'd learned her language. I got my surprise. Kun Fudarai, I finally managed. What did you say? My voice didn't sound like mine. Her smile faltered. What? Kun Fudarai gap kon bon thorasap. What did you say to the person on the phone? I watched her face change as she realized. I understood Thai. I'd understood what she said. For a second she looked genuinely shocked. Then the shock turned to something harder. Anger. You spy on me? You listen to my phone call? I heard you. My Thai was abandoning me. I switched back to English. I heard what you said, about the money, about there being no coffee shop, about tea, about me. She put the phone down on the counter, crossed her arms. You don't understand. Thai language very difficult. You hear wrong. I didn't hear wrong. You spy on me. You don't trust me. After everything I do for you, you think I'm a bad person. It was the same tactic as before. Make me feel guilty. Make me the bad guy. But this time I'd heard the truth in her own words. Ploy. The coffee shop. Does it exist? Of course it exists. You think I lie to you? Show me, right now, take me there. She stared at me. Is not ready. I tell you, take me there, or I'm leaving. Something in my voice must have told her the game was over. Her face changed again. The sweet girlfriend mask dropped away. What was left was cold, calculating, contemptuous. You want to see? She said in English. Okay. I tell you truth. No coffee shop, never was coffee shop. You think I'm stupid? Why I open business when Farang like you give me money for free? The room felt like it was tilting. What about your mother's surgery? Your daughter's tutor? She laughed. Actually laughed. My mother don't need surgery. She can see fine. And my daughter? She don't need tutor. She good student already. Who's T? My boyfriend. Real boyfriend, not old Farang who think he can buy love. That one hit like a punch. How long? How long what? How long has this been? Have you been? From beginning, she said. Her voice was flat. Matter of fact. You think I like you? You're old. You're boring. But you have money and you're lonely and that make you easy. I should have been angry. Should have yelled. But all I felt was empty. Hollow. You're pathetic, she continued. All you Farang, you come here, you think Thai women love you. You think because you pay for dinner, help with money, we love you. We don't love you, we survive. And if you're stupid enough to give money, we take it. I turned and walked to the door. She didn't try to stop me. Don't come back, she called after me. And don't try call me, I block you already. I got in my rental motorbike and drove back to my condo. Hands shaking so bad I almost crashed twice. Inside, I sat on my bed and pulled up my Bangkok bank app on my phone. I went through every transaction since I'd arrived, every transfer to Ploy's account, added them up 975,000 baht, roughly 28,000. School uniforms, motorcycle repair, mother's surgery, coffee shop lease, equipment, supplies, tutor. All of it, lies. I pulled up Google Maps, typed in the address she'd given me for the coffee shop. Street View showed me a vacant lot next to a 7-Eleven, nothing else. No building, no coffee shop, just empty concrete and weeds. I tried calling her, blocked. Line message, blocked, everything, gone. I sat there as the sun went down, didn't turn on the lights, just sat in the dark and replayed every conversation, every sweet word, every grateful tear, every time she'd made me feel like I mattered. All of it, performance. All of it scripted. I was just another mark. Another lonely Farang with money and hope. The next morning I drove to her townhouse. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I could fix it. Maybe I thought she'd take it back. Maybe I just needed to see. The house was empty. Front door locked. I looked through the windows. Furniture gone. Kitchen empty. Nothing left but bare walls. A neighbor woman was sweeping her driveway next door. I asked her in broken Thai where Ploy had gone. She shrugged. They move out yesterday nighttime. I see them load truck. I don't know where they go. Do you know her? I asked. Do you know her family? I see woman with daughter sometimes. I never see mother. Different woman comes sometimes, but not same one. Even the mother had been fake. Different women playing the role. I don't know if the daughter was really hers. At this point, I didn't know what was real. I went back to my condo and opened a Leo beer even though it was 10 in the morning, sat on my balcony and watched motorbikes stream by below. Watched life in Chiang Mai continue like nothing had happened. The universe had given me exactly what I asked for. I'd learned Thai so I could understand Ploy, so I could know what she really thought, so I could prove I was serious about our future. And I'd understood perfectly. Understood that I was easy, that I was pathetic, that I was just playing house, that she was keeping me going for a few more months until she'd squeeze me dry. Understanding didn't save me. It just let me hear my own betrayal in stereo. In 2 languages, crystal clear. All those months learning Thai, all those hours practicing, all that work to surprise her. The surprise was on me. I spent 2 weeks in that condo barely leaving except to buy food from 7-Eleven. Instant noodles, Chang beer, more instant noodles. I'd sit on my balcony watching the motorbike stream by below and replay every conversation, every moment, every gesture. The family dinners, was that even her mother? The neighbor said different women came and went. Maybe they were all actresses, friends taking turns playing the role. And the daughter was she even Ploy's kid? Or just some girl she borrowed when she needed to play the wholesome single mom? The slow courtship. 2 months before we slept together. I'd thought that proved she was different. Now I could see it was just good strategy. Make me wait. Make me think I was earning it. Make it feel meaningful when it finally happened. The tears when I suggested putting the coffee shop in both our names. Perfect timing. Perfect manipulation. She made me feel like a monster for being cautious. Made me apologize for protecting myself. Every smile, every touch, every time she said she was lucky to have me, all of it performance. All of it calculated. Every gesture of affection had a price tag attached that I was too stupid to see. I thought about Gary from the depot, the guy who'd shown me those photos, who'd planted the idea of Thailand in my head. Was his marriage real, or was he just another Mark who didn't know it yet? Maybe his wife was playing the long game. Maybe in 5 years he'd be sitting in a condo somewhere realizing the same thing I was realizing now. Or maybe his marriage was real and I was just unlucky. Maybe I'd picked the wrong woman. Maybe if I'd met someone else, someone genuine, it would have worked out. But I knew that was bullshit. The problem wasn't Ploy. The problem was me, my loneliness, my desperation, my willingness to believe what I needed to believe. I pulled up my bank account on my phone for the 100th time. Core 37,000 left. I'd come here with 65,000, my cancer survivor savings, the money I was supposed to use to actually live for the next decade. Gone. More than half of it gone in 9 months. I was 65 years old, too old to start over. Too old to make that money back. My pension would cover basics, but the cushion I'd spent 37 years building the safety net that was supposed to let me retire with dignity was shot. I thought about staying in Thailand. My condo lease ran another 3 months. I could ride it out, find some expat bar, drink with other guys who'd been burned, tell war stories. But everywhere I looked I saw ghosts. Saw Ploy and me walking around the moat. Saw the restaurant where we'd had our first dinner. Saw the Saturday market where we'd met. Saw my own stupidity reflected back at me from every corner of this city. Early October, I booked a flight back to Portland. The trip home was long. I'd forgotten how long. Chiang Mai to Bangkok, Bangkok to Seoul, Seoul to Portland. 24 hours of airports and airplane seats and time to think about everything I was going back to. Portland in October was gray and drizzling. Exactly how I'd left it. Like nothing had changed except me. I couldn't afford my old apartment. Ended up in a one-bedroom in Gresham, cheaper part of town, $950 a month instead of the $1,400 I'd been paying before. Smaller, older. But it didn't matter. I barely noticed where I was anymore. My pension covered rent and food. Was it. No buffer, no safety net, no retirement cushion. I picked up part-time work driving for a rideshare app. Back behind the wheel. Different buses, same routes, same city, same emptiness. Some of the guys from the depot asked about Thailand when they saw me doing rideshare pickups. How was it, they'd say. Thought you were living the dream over there. It didn't work out, I'd tell them. That's all. Nothing more. They'd nod and change the subject and I'd drive away and that would be that. I didn't tell anyone what really happened. Couldn't. The shame was too heavy. How do you explain that you gave $28,000 to a woman you'd known for 9 months? That you never saw the business you invested in? That you learned a language just to understand your own betrayal? You don't. You just carry it. Some nights, lying in bed in that Gresham apartment, I'd hear her voice. Not from memory. From that phone call. Speaking Thai she didn't know I understood. Farang Nai Mak, the Farang is easy. Chun Tung Gun Lempang, he just wants to play house. Jayatham Hai Tao Pai Ik Song Sum Duende. I'll keep him going another few months. The irony haunts me. All those hours learning Thai. All that work, I wanted to surprise her. Wanted to show her I was different. That I was serious about understanding her world. That I wasn't just another Farang passing through. And I did understand. I understood perfectly. Understood that I was easy. That I was pathetic. That I was just playing house. That she was keeping me going until she squeezed me dry. Understood that in her eyes, in her real eyes, not the ones she showed me, I was just another lonely old man with money and hope. Learning the language didn't protect me. It just let me hear my own betrayal in stereo. In 2 languages. Crystal clear. I survived cancer because I got lucky. The doctor said start living, so I came to Thailand thinking it was my second chance to actually live. Instead, I learned that understanding someone's language doesn't mean you understand what's really happening. And sometimes, the worst thing you can hear is the truth about yourself. That's my story. That's what happened. I'm not telling you this because I want sympathy. I'm telling you because maybe you're thinking about doing the same thing. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you just survived something that made you realize life is short. Maybe you're watching videos about retiring in Thailand, about finding love overseas, about starting fresh somewhere warm and cheap where people smile and the food is good. Maybe you are. And maybe it'll work out for you. Maybe you'll meet someone genuine. Maybe you'll build something real. But maybe you won't. Maybe you'll end up like me, 65 years old, back where you started, 28,000 poorer, driving for rideshare apps to rebuild a cushion you'll never fully recover. Maybe you'll spend your nights hearing words in a language you worked so hard to learn, words that tell you exactly what you were to someone you loved. Loneliness makes you believe what you need to believe. And sometimes the worst thing you can do is understand what people really think of you. That's all I've got. Thanks for listening. Vince's story isn't unique, and that's what makes it so important. Every week, men arrive in Thailand believing they've found something real, something different from the horror stories. And sometimes it is real. But the lesson here isn't about Thai people or Thai women. It's about what loneliness does to your judgment, and how desperation to be valued makes you miss what's right in front of you. Learning the language won't protect you from being exploited. It'll just let you understand exactly how you're being exploited. If you're thinking about making a similar move for love, for retirement, for a fresh start, Vince would tell you this. Take your time, verify everything, and remember that if something feels too good to be true, understanding the language won't change that. Thanks for watching. This is Thailand. If Vince's story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you've got a story of your own, reach out. Until next time, stay safe out there.